you're feeling guilty about working. Don't. Do you think I ever felt guilty working while you held down the fort here?
You sure didn't.
No, and now it's time for you to go out into the world and crush it.
Well, you...
Of course, it's a clip from Modern Family. But do you ever get that feeling that you're not doing enough as a parent, or maybe you feel bad about fulfilling your needs as opposed to your kids? Well, that feeling is called mom or dad guilt, and many parents, including myself, have certainly experienced it. And that's why this morning I am joined by therapist Jacqueline Welchman to tell us about how we can overcome mom or dad guilt and be the best parents we can be. Good morning to you. It's so nice to see you.
Good morning.
I know I can hear the TVs being turned up in our viewing audience. For those of us who have kids, that guilt is real. And for me, it happened the minute I saw the positive on my pregnancy test. Like, what did I eat? What did I drink? Oh my goodness. And then it's just carried on through life. But can you tell us a little bit more about what it is exactly? Why is it something that so many of us are plagued with?
Sure. Mom or dad guilt is a set of emotions that really arises whenever we begin to question our effectiveness as a caregiver. Mm-hmm. And we feel like we're not meeting up to either our own or others' expectations.
Okay, so in my case, it started really immediately.
Sure.
But when in most people's, in many parents, when does it typically start showing up?
It starts showing up really during any time of transition. Mm-hmm. And so whenever you have to make choices between competing demands, so for example, when a parent is returning to work after having a baby, they're making decisions based on caring for their child and fulfilling their responsibilities at work.
And that is such a delicate balance, because one of the other challenges that parents have is that they feel guilty when they're with their kids and they're not at work. Mm-hmm. Then they feel guilty when they're at work and they're not with their kids. So how do we know we actually do have guilt, and what are some of the symptoms that we experience?
Whenever you notice you're comparing yourself to other people, you can probably bet that you're feeling some mom or dad guilt.
Right.
So that's like, you're saying, I should be doing this, I'm supposed to be doing that, other parents are doing this, and that can feel like pressure. It can feel like an urgency to fix the problem, or it can even show up as anxiety.
Are there any real ramifications for this guilt? Can it affect us from a wellness standpoint negatively?
Absolutely. So self-doubt can lead to a sense of helplessness and hopelessness. And so that's when you start to feel like, I'll never get this right, kind of thing.
And so what is there a difference, or how can you even discern the difference between possibly symptoms of depression or just symptoms of guilt?
So whenever you're trying to determine the difference, you want to look at intensity and duration. Mm-hmm. So how intense are my symptoms? So am I able to kind of manage it with some self-care and some other tips, or is it interfering with my functioning? And how long has this been going on?
Well, and another thing, I've always felt, just based upon my own experience, that guilt is like a precondition of parenting. It just comes with it.
Yes.
And is there some ways that it can be prevented somehow, or even overcome?
Sure. So I think to overcome mom or dad guilt, first you need to check in with yourself and try and understand, where is it coming from? Where is the source of this guilt coming from? Build in some self-care into your routine, talk it out with a partner. And I think, if you're following a bunch of blogs where parents are only showing the highlights, and they're not really leaning into the realness of what parenting looks like, then maybe you want to unfollow them.
I was going to mention that, because social media definitely makes an impact. We're not only paying attention to other moms and dads, we're paying attention to their child's milestones. We're looking at those happy pictures of them in the pumpkin village, or them having all of these amazing experiences on the beach, and we're thinking to ourselves, I'm not doing this right. I'm seeing all these people on social media, and that can also lead to some serious depression.
It sure can, yeah.
All right, so tell me about when it comes to prevention, because the other thing that we're told is that it's important that we include self-care in our routine.
Sure.
Practically speaking, how can that be applied?
So whenever I'm working with clients, I hear a lot of them say, I don't have time to do X, Y, and Z. How do I have time for self-care? And I think this is where you challenge the assumption that you don't have time. And it goes back to the old oxygen mask analogy. So if you can take care of yourself, then you have the bandwidth to take care
So
of
the
other
oxygen
people.
mask is, if it should fall, you place one on yourself first and then one on your child. Is that the analogy you're referring to?
Yes, so you need to take care of yourself first, so a little bit of self-care, and then you're better equipped to take care of those that you love.
That is such a great analogy and one
Yes.
that we should definitely keep in mind. This is great information.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much. Where can
you.
we find you, by
Thank
the way?
You can go to our website at thecentercounseling.org, or you can follow us on social.
Appreciate it.
Thank
All
you.
right. Greg, another co-parent, a parenting friend of mine. How's the weather?